We're doing, we're pressing the buttons. And welcome. There we go. All right. I made it. I'm here. I'm live. I'm tired. I'm exhausted today. So good morning. Good morning. But I'm here. Oh boy. Oh, it is. I got a phone call at 2:30 in the morning. So, and you know when you get a phone call like that and you sort of jump out of bed. So that's what I got. But all is good. It was all ended up fine. But still, it still makes it like it's hard to get back to sleep after all of that, you know? So here I am. Let's look into this astrology. It's okay. We are in a very tremontral. Maybe I shouldn't even try and say that word. But we are entering into a very high intensity week. A week that's going to bring in a lot of, I feel, clarity for people. I feel it's also going to be a week that's going to bring in the transformation and changes. We are starting to see the eruption of a of a new world stepping forward and stepping up. And yeah, it's happening. So let me bring in my little notes that I did. I found it interesting, haha, is in the news, in one of the newspapers, can't remember which one, but it said Ukraine Trojan horse, right? And the Trojan horse is Ukraine used the Trojan horse. And that was exactly when Chiron and Eris conjuncted. And that's when with the attack of Ukraine on Russia. And so that's kind of like another kickoff. Like here it is, we're kicking off, we're entering into the war zone. And as we are entering into this war zone, this is where it's loud. The sky is loud right now, and it's not just the thunder. We are in astrological cauldron of fire. That's what I called it, the cauldron of fire. I loved that when that came. I went, yeah, cauldron fire. Yeah, cauldron of fire. Don't you like that? So it's the trickster wind. It is the Semitic shifts, and it's we want to stir it together. There is also in Colorado, and they're calling it a terrorist attack. I guess they're still under investigation, but the bombing um, of a Jewish temple, and then also the unfolding what's happening in France. And when I looked at the things, how people protest, I think it has to do with the energy of the country too. Yeah, there's a lot of protests and everything, and people protesting in say England. So I mean, you get a lot of people like labor unions and stuff like that come up and they protest, they rally, "Rah!" And then they go home. Right? And same here in Canada. Like we have these rallies, we have these protests. They haven't gotten to the extent that in France, I mean, once in France, they're gonna fucking rally. They're gonna destroy everything. They're gonna just like, "Ah, revolution, storm the Bastille." That's that's the French energy, right? We're gonna storm the Bastille. And and so now what you're seeing is like over the weekend from one of their premier leagues who they won their first game, and it wasn't necessarily the people who were the fans. It was they came out and they said it was a lot of immigrant gangs that went through and destroyed. I mean, I just, my love of France, I mean, the idea of France and chateaus, and like the people that I watch, they don't live, they live way they live in rural France, right? And they're not near any of this. And they're in little close to hamlet villages and stuff like that. And so they're not, at this time, There's not a lot of that happening in those areas. But still, it's scary. It's one of those things when, it's that energy that is rising, and we're in this energy that's rising very rapidly right now. And we have the sun in Gemini. It's at 12 degrees, and we begin with that sun and Mercury both in clever communication. Gemini lightening up the 12th house in the chart that I pulled. So this is whispering from spirit, a nudge of the unconsciousness. Gemini wants us to talk about it. Yeah. The 12th house asks us to meditate on it. This is a day for channeling messages, receiving guidance in dreams. So, watching what isn't said, right? Being aware of what isn't said. That moon approaching, with Virgo, and it's approaching Lilith, Black Moon Lilith. So, this is feeling on edge, right? So, especially around body health, criticism, feminine rage, emotions are analytical. So, we're going to start seeing more of that coming out. Like Black Moon Lilith is going to be doing this rise because we have it in Virgo. Virgo's a virtuous one, right? And with the moon, there's a lot of internal energy that's happening there. And this is a year, or this, where especially for Virgo people, and I'm going to say Libra people, if you're not keeping yourself grounded, and especially the Virgos, you're going to find that, when it comes to relationships, and it's going to be you're going to have a difficult year. I mean, Virgos are entering into a year of a lot of difficulties when it comes around relationships, connecting, um, even having breakdowns. I mean, Tommy Lee's wife, she's a Virgo. She's definitely having some kind of finding out that she was, catfished on Snapchat, and then her whole marriage goes down the drain. Like, shake your head. Just shake your head. Just like, yeah. And I think he's a Libra. So, it's just not working out there, baby. And this is, with this energy, this is where you got to watch. The emotions are analytical. But Lilith's influence makes them wild and unfiltered. This is where, right now we have crazy wildfires, like in Manitoba. They have some here in Alberta now. I think wildfires are everywhere. But anyways, all of these fires, and it's just this. Things are getting ignited. Things are coming to a point that's really out of control. Now, everything that happened in Hawaii a couple years ago with the fires and that, um, people are a lot more information is coming out about that because nothing's being done. Like, a lot of people, they haven't been able to rebuild, they haven't been able to do anything with their land. They still had to pay their mortgages, they had to pay insurance and whatever else on that, for something that's no longer there. And some of them can't even get back in after what, 2 years, um, onto the site because they say it's hazardous, right? So you're going to start seeing more people not shutting up about this and really rising up. So, because they're angry, they're mad. And if they missed any payments, well, of course the bank's going to take it, and then it's like these other conglomerates are coming in and uh buying it. So, and the other thing is that Hawaii is already expensive to go to. So it's a very expensive place to go and stay. So this will just add to the cost of everything else. But emotions, with Lilith, this makes, them wild and unfiltered. And where you just might not want to care, but your nervous system does. Like, it's just like, I want to detach, but your nervous system is like, fuck, So it's very, this grounding, this connection, communication is so important. Talking it out, journaling. If you haven't joined my Sacred Summer series, I would advise you to join me on this Sacred Summer series. You could just do June. June's $50. We're doing, today is the blossoming meditation. Like if you're wanting to do the blossoming meditation, this is where we're connecting, making lavender wands. If you want to make lavender wands, this is where we are preparing for the summer solstice and preparing our altars for the summer solstice, right? And having that connection, having, as we're coming into this beautiful June, this month, looking at where we're going to bless our spaces, right? Bless your space with order. And that way, if you are wanting to then be the rebel, you can still be the rebel and still have the order, right? You can still be the rebellious one, but you don't have to rebel in such a way that it damages not only yourself, but damages other people, right? So, and that Mars in Leo, and it's coming to this, this all this week, we are going to be in this energy, these transits of Mars and Leo coming into a square with Taurus that wants to build. So this is crackling, this is fuse. Mars, the warrior, the drive, he wants, the expansive Leo and squaring Uranus, sudden change. In Taurus, it's um to violate the mix. It's a dramatic change, likely through confrontation or unexpected disruption. I really feel there's going to be something crazy that's going to happen from, you know, from a Russian retaliation. How that retaliation is going to show up. Like that's the big one. Like let's, what's what I mean, Putin's gone silent. I think he came out and said something. He goes, that's basically something like the final straw or whatever, and then silent. Not hearing, not hearing shit from him. So something is on the edge there. This is where things are going to get dramatic, and there's going to be some dramatic changes, and likely through confrontation or unexpected disruptions. Think ego-driven action, military escalation, stock market surprises, tech crashes, or earth shifts. There has been a few oil companies that have been hacked over this last month. And it's not in the news. They're not saying anything, but they've been hacked. And so either they, people went to work, they had nothing they could do. Everything's on the computer. Even if you think about it, when it comes to pipelines are all on the computer, right? They're all computerized pipelines. It's not just like, it's not like, oh, we just turn the tap on and they're just flowing through. That's not how it works. They're all computerized. So hacking the system, and this is where you have that um, Neptune and Saturn in Aries. I mean, one controls, gas and oil and water, and then you have Saturn controls the black, right? The blackness, the depth, which is oil. And so with but Jamie Powers, JD Powers, J Powers. Anyways, big dude with a lot of money coming out and saying, "Oh, we're just doing testings just in case there's going to be a hack." No, it's not just in case. It's like when there is a hack. It's inevitable. This is why it's so important. Have cash, right? It's important to have cash because you'll go to the grocery store and all of a sudden the system is down. And we're entering in, this week is getting intense. It's just, I don't know how to tell you guys anymore. It's intense, right? From the 3rd to the 6th, this is the peak activation. This is where you're going to see more global protesting, explosions, literally and metaphorically. This is where financial markets surges or dips. So personally, don't push, pivot, channel fire into a creative expression. instead of a conflict. You're getting overwhelmed. Go to the river, go to the water, get outside, hug a tree, ground yourself. You're going to feel the frequencies and the anger that's going to be coming through. It's that vibration, that electrical vibration, and that square that's coming in is just crazy. It's just going to really ignite things, right? And Saturn and with Saturn and Neptune and Aries, the spiritual intentions are under fire. It's like it's a rare double transit, right? This is where the soul is on fire. The soul fire. If you want that, if you want my booklet on the Neptune Saturn energy, get a hold of me. It's something that is very transformational. It's going to bring in these changes, and you want to work with it because that Saturn Neptune is going to be together for a year, right? They're going to go back into Pisces later on this, but they're going to come back and they're going to conjunct exact in February next year. But right now they're conjunct in the Helio and the Geo, and that's causing Neptune clouds and dreams, and Saturn structure limits, and teachers. He wants to teach both in fiery. Spiritual crisis is happening. It's meeting the sacred action. Are you listening to God? Are you listening to the divine will? Or are you rebelling against it and thinking, I could do it all. I could do it. Because as I said, there's a few signs that are really going to feel this, and that's the Virgos, and that is the Libras. They're going to feel the energies, Virgos more so. This is a huge transformation for them because things are going to hit them. Because why? Because opposition's about the energies that are coming in. So this is really coming into this, a message. You are not who you used to be. You are emerging into something new. You are being initiated into a new form of leadership. And it's going to be messy, 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 but it's holy. It's out of that mess. It's out of that craziness comes that holiness, comes that transformation, comes the insight, comes the wisdom. So the soul, this is the soul reset. That's what we're going through. That Neptune in Aries, and I'm pointing up there. They're up there. That Neptune in Aries. This is Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries. This is a 6,500 year reset. So we have to be brave. We have to, stop. Right? Be brave enough to stop waiting for the clarity, then start walking. We have to be brave enough to say, hey, you know what? I need a timeout. I can't do this right now. I got to have a timeout. And I could see it with a lot of people. It's funny. I was at a market this weekend. Fabulous market. I love going to the Shine Psychic Market because I do well. People know me. I don't go there very often. And it's one of those things that if you're from out of town and you're going into it, even the people who are in town, I mean, they do well, but it's like, oh, right, I haven't heard from this person. This person's new and fresh. So going there and doing the readings was really cool. It was really interesting. But I also saw that there was less traffic at the market. Some booths did well. I guess some booths didn't do as well. I mean, which is typical, but it's because so many people aren't going out and spending. They're holding on to their money, um, and spending on what they can afford, kind of thing. But in my readings, a lot of the same general things that kept on coming up, which is very typical when you do readings. It's like the same information. These people come in, and it's kind of like not that it's exactly the same reading, but general information that comes in, like taking L-theanine for the brain, right? Allowing yourself to reactivate everything and coming out of the stress, nervous systems that are totally out of whack. Are you taking your holy basil? you know, peppermint and hibiscus kept coming in. Peppermint and hibiscus tea, you know, it's that to really come into the grounding and really coming into the calmness because I'm going to say our nervous system is really out of whack right now, right? Really out of whack. And it's difficult to get that back into that alignment. And that's why it's so important for those who are going through some craziness, or I'm going to take that Tommy Lee example and his wife, I guess ex-wife now, that he got it. The common sense has to come in with what you are doing, right? Don't get lost in fantasy land. Don't get lost in some crazy illusions. This is, you got to come into that reality. And that's a hard one. Maybe you don't want to come into that reality. Maybe you're done. So this is again, this is where I'm going to say my Sacred Summer series is one to help people to come in, but you got the other thing, it's self-directed. You got to do the work. You can't expect, you're going to sit there and it's all going to come through osmosis, right? You have to do the work. And that is very important. And you ran out of time, Jen. Yeah, I was busy. I was busy, right? That's why I said to her, just off topic, when I was at the market, I said, because we ended at 4, I feel we should have gone, because I would have loved to have seen a few more people, like just visiting, just to see people. I would have loved it that we went to at least 6 o'clock at that market. I think that would have given people more time. 4 o'clock's kind of odd. And the other thing too is that if you're working, it would have been nice that, oh, let me get into the last hour of the market, right? 4 o'clock is not a good time to end a market, especially on a Saturday, because people want to still get out. I know sometimes the people who are there are just tired and exhausted. I get it. But I feel like you're missing a huge chunk of people that could just be coming in. I really wanted to go to the market, or making the market 2 days because she only does it once a year. It's a well-known market, people know it. Making it 2 days so you can have like a day, like it's a 10 to 6 on, or even 3, like a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, like you can make it a 3-day expo if you want to. People then I think would do a lot better. There would be um I would be more willing to stay overnight. I make it a day trip. Thank God for Virginia. Virginia! Woo, woo, woo! Bringing me up there. Uh, but making it a longer, I think, would be something that would do very, very well for everybody in general. Um, but it was a very good. It's something that area needs. That area is when it and this is coming back to the astrology, the re-emergence of um when we're re-emerging into this new spirituality, or in this new form. People are they're looking, and this isn't to say that religions are going away. Religions are going to be there, but there's a restructuring that's happening, right? There's a restructuring that's happening. I mean, even though, you know 2000 years ago when Jesus came, we still have the other religions. He restructured the Christianity, and the way Christianity became the newfound religion, basically. And from Abraham wasn't a Jew. Like, a lot of people don't know that, right? There's a newness that's coming in, and one God coming in, not a multiple of gods, just one God, one belief of one God. Anyways, this is where we are. We're restructuring how we are connecting. That new state of consciousness is coming in. And when a new state of consciousness is coming in, this is where our nerves, because we are dense beings, we are not like illuminating as some people think we are. No, we're not. We're dense. So being dense beings are rewiring. So this Mars squaring Uranus is going to be fucked up for a lot of people. It's going to take a lot out of people, right? and Uranus in Taurus. And and this is like Mars is my ruler. It's in Leo. Uranus is in opposition, and this is opposition to my Venus. Ah, yes. And then it's squaring over to my Venus. So I have this is like where Mars, Uranus is squaring over to my Venus in Scorpio. And my Venus in Scorpio is being hit. So that has to do with relationships. That has to do with my structure of relationships, my boundaries when it comes to relationships. This is where you could get pulled in many different ways, right? And it's it's where you for me really being conscious of how I'm grounding and how I'm taking my focus, how I'm going forward with this and with this energy. All right, because I have a lot of other energy in Scorpio that pulls me in different ways. So making sure that I am staying grounded, because I will be facing uh Jupiter going from Gemini and leaving Gemini and going forward there. But with Uranus going into Gemini, that's what I was trying to say. With Uranus going into Gemini, comes into an opposition to my Mars. And that I know, because my Mars is in Sag. So knowing your chart is important too, having a sort of a basic. So Uranus opposite my Mars, that's disruption. That's disruption. Like, I haven't had that because it's an 84-year transit, and I'm not that old. Although sometimes I feel that old, but I'm not that old. So having that Uranus there in Gemini is really can cause a lot of havoc. So where is Uranus where is Uranus transiting in your chart? What does that look like in your chart? Right? Because I'm going into the sixth house, from the fifth house to the sixth house. So that opposition, right? And what is the sixth house? So the fifth house is all about the heart. It's the Virgo. It's the I mean it's the Leo. It's the inner child and working on the inner child. So then we go from Leo into the sixth house. The sixth house is ruled by Virgo. So Virgo shows up in people's charts in different ways, right? It might be under, like, my sixth house is Sagittarius, but its ruler in that the sixth house is Virgo, that energy of the Virgo, the energy of service and health. So that's where I really have to look at, okay, what kind of things are happening with my health? Because it's a health house too, with the Uranus opposition. So I know there's things that are going on. And it's funny because my left side, where I had the accident and stuff, has been seizing up. I've been having more kind of nerve pain and things like that. So, what else? Strange kind of rashes could be showing up, and that because of nerve endings, or odd things like that could be happening too. So where it is in your chart, so your chart could be obviously different than mine. Having that awareness, it's important. It gives you that opening, that realization of, okay, what can I do to prepare? So I'm going to the doctor. I'm finding out what other things I can go and do for it. I'm making sure I'm doing my stretches, my walks, and things like that to help to take care of it, making sure I'm taking the proper vitamins and, you know, all of those lovely things, right? So these are the things. It's like, okay, when Ren- I can't pronounce your name. Renaland. Anyways, it's a beautiful name. I just can't pronounce it. Because she's a Virgo, she's like, well, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, what can you do? Look at the things you can do to help yourself and support your body. So, what can I do besides the meditation and the spiritual things? But what can I do to, support me? And that could be um things like the L-theanine, things to do with magnesium. How can I take these things, peppermint and hibiscus tea, all of these things, to start to look at of what you can do to really take care of oneself. is an important piece as well. So the Chiron Aries one that I talked about in the conjunction, sorry, she just saw somebody outside. This is where it's spiritual warfare territory. Chiron, the wound, meets the goddess of discord. And what did Eris do? Eris was the one who started the Trojan War. She wasn't invited to the wedding, right? And so that's where she threw the apple amongst all the goddesses and said, "Who's the fairest one of all?" Right? And it was given to Paris, right? So Zeus wasn't going to make that decision because he's like, "Hey, hang on. There's my wife, there's my mistress, and there's a couple other girls I've been with. I don't think I'm going to say anything, so I'm going to give it to this muggle," which was Paris. And he chose the most fairest one of all, was this young, beautiful Greek woman who was married to the ruler of Greece, who was this old man. So, hence the Trojan War, right? So, this is where it's like can look like an unexpected attacks, betrayal, themes, uh, karmic reckoning, but also healing through radical truth and telling and disruption. So that's what it is, because Aries is for the underdog. She wants this healing. Chiron wants this healing, but it's in Aries, so it's fiery, right? It's going to be transmuting. And so this radical energy this week is radical. It's transmuting. It's awakening. It's getting you to say, what the fuck are you doing? Right? Are you just, wanting, you don't try and hide away, because it's just going to get worse. That's where your anxiety is really going to start eating away on you. Right? And this is where people might, you know, start drinking too much or taking too many pills, or, uh, you know, one person I just like, first thing I said, like, you can't do drugs or alcohol, until, like, you can't. That's not a good thing, because that's escapism, and that's bringing you down to depression and bringing you down to all this thing. And then and I mentioned a few other drugs. I said, these aren't things you could take either. I said, they're not good for you. Yeah, it gets you to maybe where it feels like that escapism gets you to that place, right? Because when people take like Molly or MDMA and stuff like that, they're like, "Oh, but it's so loving and so caring." Yeah, but there's some manipulation and stuff that can happen within that, because the ego's still there. People have to understand that with it. So it's where you have to come into the reality, and through the right reality, that's where you are transmuting the energy in order to bring forth the harmony and the peace and the tranquility and the joy, and that love energy. And the love energy is only through transmuting it through this world, not through some illusional world, not through something that is getting you out of this world. You got to have it within this world to transmute it, so that it allows for you to then rise, because then you are fully embodied within your consciousness, within oneself. That's the way that you are transmuting it. That's the way you are transforming it. It's not through ayahuasca, it's not through peyote, it's not through that. Those might be some aids, or getting, or taking whatever shrooms. Those are sort of aids that a shaman will use, but then the shaman will bring you back into the reality and say, "How are you utilizing this into your day-to-day life?" That's where the importance is. And that's where people get lost, because they don't want to come back into this world and deal with it. Because that means you have to work, and you have to own 100% of your reality. It's like, even with, what is it? Constellation, generational constellation or something, where they go through the generations and try, to fix lines and fix lineage. I find that interesting. I do. And I'm just trying to think of um, my great grandmother, from, who can, transmuting that energy from what, a million, like hundreds of years ago. Interesting. But in order for you to transmute what you need to do, you have to bring it into this world. You can't go through escapism. If you go through escapism, you're going to get lost. You're going to get into the valley. And if you're going to get into that valley, you're going to get into a valley that's going to get you into the darkness. And this is where we were wanting to come out of the darkness and back into light, back into somewhere where we are able to have that connection with the higher realms. So we are in a collective searching for peace, but Neptune's fiery seat in Aries makes the quest spiritual. It makes this a spiritual quest, and it's volatile, and it's not a gentle path that we are entering. But the dream still matters. The ideal is worth walking through the fire for. This is worth all of the changes that are coming in. Right? That's what we're doing. So the war drums are beating inside and out, but don't make mistakes. No, the mistake, the noise for distraction. It's getting loud out there. This is not about fighting harder. It's about aligning deeper and letting the chaos test your devotion to peace. Let the world swirl and swirl, but stay rooted in your sacred why. The new world is coming. It's here. And you are part of it. This is part of it. You came here, you signed up for it. This is part of this beautiful energetic that's coming forth. So watch for the hidden truths in the chaos. It's there. June 3rd to 6th, this is where Mars squares Uranus, explosive energy. You got to stay grounded. Dreams may feel aggressive, but they are acting and guiding you to act. They're getting you to get moving, girl, and trust your internal compass. Even when the map is burning, this is like, okay, I got to trust in the direction I'm going. The queen of wands is showing up. The queen of wands, and the queen of wands, when she shows up, she's the queen of I don't give a shit, because this is my passion. This is the direction I'm going into, because I know it's true to me. I know this is what I want, even though others are saying, oh, you're crazy, you can't do that. But trusting in that. This is not, and this is where the fine line, because there's also trusting in it, but there's also coming in and listening. That Mercury comes in, is listening to the information. Because you can't tell me that girl did not know, or, she was lost in a delusion of whatever that little catfish was telling her in Snapchat. She's lost. And this is where, when you are being led into something, right? You're being led into the lion's den. What is it there that you feel you are getting from that you're not getting from your reality? Because that is not a reality. That's not a reality, right? I also, there was one woman that I did do another, and she came to me, she goes, oh, Mary. And I said, yeah, hi. And she goes, oh, I found this man. And I'm just like, yeah. And he's in the States, and he's saying how, we're having this relationship, and he's coming up to see me. And I'm like, he is? And then as soon as she, I'm like, I just got a bad feeling. I said, no, he's not coming up to see you. Oh, well, I just sent him the money for the tickets. I'm like, don't send him any money. You're being catfished. Like, it's horrible to see, because there's such loneliness there. So why was there such loneliness within these people? You see and you think that they got it all, but what is that missing? I feel like what's missing is God. It's entering into that relationship with the divine. And when you enter into a relationship with the divine, it's entering into it, that and understanding that you are whole and holy, that your mind and God's mind are one. And when you have that, that's just like, oh my gosh. When you have those distractive thoughts are out here, they're from this world that's distracting you from the oneness of God. And that's what the astrology is trying to show us. and try, for us to try and walk into this path. We're not perfect by all means. We all have flaws, but that's all part of the walk. That's all part of what we are here learning and transmuting within this world, right? So get some hematite. Hematite's beautiful. Grounding. It's grounding in fiery storms. It allows for passion flower. Calming. And it's a reactive to the nervous system. If you are able to get passion flower tea, I think that's what I'm going to look for today is some passion flower tea. Passion flower tea, because if I could pick it fresh, but I live in Calgary. Would be awesome. But it is really helps with the nervous system. It's a beautiful tea. It really helps to bring in that calmness. And the mantra is I rise with clarity even when the path is unclear. Mm, yeah, I love that. I rise with clarity even when the path is unclear. And right now we are seeing that the path is not clear. And you all know me, and if you've followed me for a while, I'm not going to lead you astray, and I'm not going to give you like little sprinkles of things and say, "Oh, everything's going to be fine. Here you go." Give you little sprinkles and say, "Oh, just it's all airy fairy. Just believe in the fairies." No, because even the fairies can lead you astray. Just saying, you know, they have an agenda. They love. Put it this way: the fairies love the Tower card because they love to rebuild shit because they're here for a long time. We don't like the tarot. We don't, for us, the tarot card can be difficult because it feels it's just taking, it's taking up our time for other things that we wanted to, right? But in reality, in embracing the tarot card or embracing that the Queen of Wands is allowing us to embrace that truth within us and to make it a stronger structure because we're believing in that passion and love. So there you go. If you're interested in the Sacred Summer Series, get a hold of me, DM me. I'm quite excited about it. I'm working on the July booklet right now. And I'm also working on two other things. Two other things I'm working is the fall workshop. Oh my God. I'm so excited about that. We'll talk about that later. And I'm looking at with this menopause thing, um, some like booklets and things to help to address people and help to guide them through this. So there you go. Anyways, have a blessed one, and may the Lord Almighty watch over and bless each and every one of you. I'm giving you all a big spiritual hug. You're all going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. Trust. I know it's not an easy road. Blessed be everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.